Hey guys, Mr. George Remus here with another build guide today for the Axion Planes activity. We are going to be looking at Ultimate Freyna. She's a popular descendant choice, but not necessarily for Axion Planes. If you build her this way though, she does become one of the stronger options for the activity to help you farm the new content. Alright, so before we dive in, I want to show you guys why Contagion struggles in the Axion Planes using an example here. The enemies in the Axion Planes have higher resistances, they have adaptive resistance, and they have a lot more HP. So when you use Contagion, you're really limiting your potential damage over time, which is what Freyna is built around. If I show you here, if I hit him with my 1 skill and my 3 skill, it's like just the same amount of damage. Okay, like it's not stacking Room 0 trauma or other debuffs. Now when I switch to Venom Injection, if I use my 1, and my 3, there's going to be even more damage ticks. And you can actually add more to this if you wanted to. If you use your 2 and you use your 4, you can apply even more damage over time. Like, look at all those debuffs stacking up. This is going to be how we're getting our kills in the Axion Planes. Jumping into the mods, this is the primary setup that I personally use. We are going to run Venom Injection on everything. We're going to be running Overwhelming Shield and Biosync Shield to go with this. This is actually more important than it looks like, and I will circle back to that later, but just keep this mod particularly in mind. We're going to run Focus on Tech, Focus on Toxic for some damage, Tech Amplification, Toxic Amplification. For range, we got Skill Expansion, and for cooldown, we're running Nimble Fingers and MP Conversion. And we're going to run Decimator. If you don't know what this does, every time we kill an enemy affected with debuff, we get more skill power modifier. If you don't know what Venom Injection does or why we're running it, this is typically Freyna's bossing mod. This will put a constant drain on both your HP and your MP, which is why we're running a shield build to go with this. The payoff for this is a 66% skill power modifier increase on top of everything else, which is why we're going to run this in the Axion Planes versus something like Contagion, where we're not getting any increase and we're only doing 1 damage over time over potentially 4 or 5 of them. And when I say we're getting 4 or 5 different damage over time, each one of these skills, including Venom Injection, applies a different debuff. So it's important to get these on the enemies as much as possible, because those debuffs will spread similar to Contagion, just not as efficiently as Contagion. Now, if you want to use this in group play and you feel like you need a bit more range to be competitive and help support your team more, you can switch out Decimator for amplification control to help you spread your toxins around, but everything else would stay the same. And if you feel like you're struggling to survive and stay alive and you want to switch out Decimator for Maximize Shield, this will give you an extra 2,000, 2,500 shields to help us stay alive in combat and keep you in the game and the fight longer. Now for the new trigger mod system, we're going to be running the trigger mod known as Power Beyond. If you do not know what this is, each time that we use a damage over time skill, we get 1 stack of this. At 4 stacks, it applies Toad to all nearby enemies. If you don't know what Toad does, it sucks up all the enemies nearby into 1 central location. This will be important when we get to our component sets, and I'll explain that when we get there. This also will give us a flat skill power boost. You see that top line, it's in a range of 5 to 15%. My role specifically gives me an extra 14% skill power, and this is actually a huge help. Looking at the utility side of the build, we're going to be using a Tech Toxic Reactor with skill cooldown and skill cost. The skill cooldown is a must. The skill cost is optional. You can switch this out for skill range or a tech skill power modifier if you would like, or something else there that you would rather have than skill cost. We're going to be using a lot of skills, so I prefer the extra skill cost. For the external components, we're going to be using the very classy Slayer set, and this goes back to the Power Beyond trigger mod. If you do not know, when you run a 4-piece Slayer, not only are you getting more skill power, you're getting this bonus effect that when you defeat enemies effect with Toad, which is what Power Beyond is going to do for us, you have a chance at recovering MP, and we need as much of that as possible with this build. On top of that, we're running all shield based stuff and all defense based stuff. So I did have to go farm a very specific Slayer set for this. So anything MP based, HP based, or shield based are what you want on your substats. And finally, the 3 weapons we're going to run is we're going to run Secret Garden. If you do not know what Secret Garden does, if you're holding it in your hands, each time you cast a tech skill, there is a 50% chance to give you a buff called Pest Control that will give you continuous stacks of skill power. And this adds up to a little bit less than 50% more skill power added to your own skill power. And since we're going to be spamming tech skills, this is wildly important. This build is for Axion planes, so we're going to be using the Exterminator. This helps like control with the ships and stuff like that, and you honestly have a lot of free time with Freyna because she'll be killing everything with her skills to focus on those with this. So this is actually a very nice addition to the build. And then finally, this is optional, but I run Albion Cavalry Gun with a Freyna based setup. So when we pop her 4, she has this thing rolling. And in case you're curious what that looks like, you're going to want these magazine increasing mods, compulsive magazine, expand weapon charge, fire rate, and firing fiesta. A little demonstration of what that will look like is you're going to reload, you're going to pop her 4, you're going to roll, and now you're not consuming ammo and you have a high fire rate dealing damage to the enemies. This is what our Arche Board is going to look like. It might look a little strange for a Freyna build, but I will explain what we're doing here. So first and foremost, you might notice that we go down. We're going for this maximized shield. We need as much shield as possible. By the end, you should have more than 6,000 shields. We're also going to go over to the left because there's more shields along the way, as well as this incoming damage modifier down. You don't have to get this, but it's kind of in the way, and less damage is always a good thing, even if it's just 5%. The upward path, it's important that you get this MP recovery modifier because this build does struggle with MP control. And everything from here to here is not important, which does feel a little bit wasteful. But for defense neutralization, which is our mutant cell, it's very much worth it. If you don't know what this does, each enemy that's at full health, which every time you spread one of your debuffs, they get this effect added to them. It lowers their defense and all their resistances with the exception of non-attribute. And you're going to be applying this just by playing Freyna. This is great in solo play and group play because you're supporting all your teammates except your non-attribute ones. And this is just one of my favorite mutant cells in the entire game. Now, lastly, for the Inversion reinforcement, we're going to run the Arche circulation tactic. This just gives us more skill cooldown time to time. This is actually really useful when you time it for your 4 to get that back faster. We're going to be running pinpoint aim algorithm. You can switch this off for something else if you like. Just because we're using execution or exterminator, I like bringing this with us. And then finally, a very important one is the probabilistic recovery system. This is why we're running Biosync Shield. Each time you pick up a recovery orb, you have a chance of getting extra HP and MP back. So being able to pick up HP orbs while we're running a shield build procs this, and it will help us with our MP recovery, which is a very large part of the build itself. Some final thoughts. I want to make sure everybody's clear that this is kind of a build for like an in-game player. Like, it's not a very easy thing to use, but it does work. It is a great build. It's one of my favorite things to run. You will have to actively go out of your way to make sure you're keeping your MP up. That means chasing those HP orbs, chasing those MP orbs. You can keep the buff up going the entire time. Venom Injection is going to be draining your MP. You're going to be casting skills. That's going to be draining your MP. But it is very possible to do entire missions without even having to worry about it, as long as you keep grabbing your MP. Power Beyond, sucking enemies up to that central location. When they die, that's where you want to go. There's probably going to be at least 3 or 4 orbs waiting there for you to replenish your stock. All that being said, if you guys found anything in this video helpful, or if you find this build to be good, or you have different thoughts or ideas, or if there's something else you would like to see, please comment down below, hit that subscribe button, help support the channel, and give the video a like to help push this video to more people. I do believe that is all I have to share on this. So until next time, I hope you guys all have a great time in Axion Planes and enjoy yourselves in Season 3.